I stand in front of you. My dear daughter, I stand in front of your pain. There is something related to this morphology of rotation. There is will directed as an arrow in space, which is our model of time. But there is also will that moves like this. I stand in front of your pain. Rotation. And I want to say, let us scream it. Let us manifest it. There is a distinction between I feel it and I scream it. I manifest it. What is this difference? Come on. So this tree structure must aspire towards its fruit. Your pain shall question the grammar of my name. My pain shall question the grammar of your name. Your pain shall question the grammar of my name. Your pain the gift is the new configurations of bodies. Space translated into ecstatic access. Space as time. Space as a map of time. Space as integrity of time. There is a sort of cyclic logic. There is a kind of logic that is not linear, that is a form of will that is handling the membranes of the limit of reality. It is a signal to manifest. Pain. It is a signal to manifest in a certain way. And only when you manifest it, you realize the freedom and the responsibility you have in how you manifest it. There is a motion of the mind that works in a naive sense, trying to understand. And there is a discernment of frames of attitude. There is a discernment of calibers of attitude, which is the very key for attaining real clarity. Any location in space is freely responsive. Any configuration in space is freely translatable in presence. Come on. Functional wisdom is the discernment of attitudes. Functional wisdom, which is the one that can be applied. the one that is out of temporal causality, which means that there is not the intelligence of rational thinking, conceptual thinking, because that is not functional in real time. Reasoning is not functional in real time. So then you need another model of intelligence. Sort of thinking in space, sort of. Fuck do you mean, man? Come on. The fluidity of bodies. How do you stand in your fiercest vision? Realize eventually that there is no, in itself, there is no core, solid entity that is pain as such. There is the expression of pain, and that is always a matter of creation and responsibility. Space translated as discernment of states. Space as language of dialogue of states. Space as the playground of the dialogue of spirit forms. Physical space as encounter of dimensions. So what makes us unable to manifest it, to express it, to give it form? How does one get stuck with forms of pain that remain somehow looping inside? So if you stand in the resonance of the outrageous, you convince yourself that all limbs of possible bodies, all limbs of possibility are awakened as your very birthright. All organs of possibility are awakened and active as your very birthright. You awaken as pure space. So let's establish these bodies that are not physical and not abstract, thoroughly desired. Child knows how to cry. A child truly knows how to cry. Thank you for showing me the nature of pain. Thank you for showing me the scale, the true scale of pain. Thank you for showing me the true nature of pain. 43 or cry. Your pain will question my name. Your pain will question the grammar of my name. My pain will question the grammar of your name. There is a quest for some kind of clarity that is able to translate something that seems like advanced insight into common sense perception. So how does this barely attained insight become physical, common sense, a matter of perception? It does attain a new domain. Your pain shall question the grammar of my name. There is something about the voice that just removes distance or removes. There is a caliber, which means the discernment of the quality. So if I voice a certain kind of scream, it will have the pattern, the exact configuration of its attitudes, its fields of resonance. My pain shall question the grammar of your name. The notion of space that we have is related to linear will. The perception of space that we have is related to linear will, is related to a linear morphology of story. Fuck. Ooh. This perception of space, the capacity of movement in space is related to our linear capacity of story. This morphology of will related to some kind of body moving in space will meet its alternative as moving through worlds, so that linear distance, linear motion is no longer the interesting freedom. The whole monstrous configuration of the possibility of such a life. The brutal, the violent, the ruthless, the fierce. Come on! This was related to Wittgenstein because I want to feel like I'm in this team of advanced beings. Okay, the ones that I love, artists, Van Gogh, Kiefer, Calder, Wittgenstein. All these bright spirits that I long for, the celebration, it's like a celebration of life that I want to be a part of this. So I ask myself, am I a part of this? Can my hand stretch thoroughly, the hand of truth, the hand of will, the hand of the heart, can stretch into the heart of Fotia crying because I abandoned her. So I stand with my dear friend Wittgenstein and I say to myself, whatever we feel inside and we do not express is only the strong signal that is in our biology, in our structure, to express, to manifest, to express in a certain way. It is actually the invitation in our biology to respond in a certain way. It is the resonance of this realm. It is the resonance of what is most habitual response. My pain shall question the grammar of your name. My pain shall question the grammar of your name. So anchor, come on, anchor. Just find the function of the roots. Find that function of the roots. Attain the subversive chemistry of the return, the return. There is a direction that is so unusual. There's a kind of direction towards death. There's kind of negative direction that is never the case. There is no such thing as negative will in our culture. There is no such thing as the reductive capacity attained in the morphology of space. Come on! Attained organically as a motion of perception, as a direct quality of perception, this withdrawal of space, this breathing of space, the breathing attained as withdrawal of space. Come on. My pain shall question the grammar of your name. But if you do not enact it, you do not express it, you cannot enter the possibility of shaping it creatively or responsibly shaping the form of expression. Like, if I am terrified, I can act in the most enlightened, fierce laughter because I have so much faith and so much love, and I'm just, all darkness is filled with the flesh of the Buddha. My pain shall question the grammar of your name. There is a motion of withdrawing and expanding space. Come on. So you discern these organs of function in your destiny, and you must achieve them as direct functions of perception. Everything that is truly relevant in your world, in your destiny, whatever form it may have, whatever morphology of love, must become anatomically relevant, meaning an active function in your present configuration. My pain. My pain. I will reveal my truth. I will manifest my truth. Yeah, this is it. This is my gift for you. That it will not only be, I know it in my heart to be true. I will stand in the power of revealing my truth. thoroughly. Ah! My pain, the pain of the lack of memory, the pain of forgetfulness. This is the achieved anatomy, the logical integrity. When you can awaken these morphologies of memory into spatial function, they are simultaneous, they are one. The way I forget about you and the way you forget about me. Meaning that the kingdom will be revealed. This is the truth. Oh! Everything that is dark in this reality shall be placed into the light. Everything that is dark in this world shall be placed into the light. This is our bones of love. This is the nature of our mission on this earth. So how can I grip these animals that kind of need to find, how do they find one another? What do they do? What is their story? What is their function? When you can attain such bones of clarity that will observe essential tone of memories, it's like a sort of acuity of hearing, listening, when there is stillness in space, when there is no longer the wastefulness of physical distance, then it all translates in the acuity of listening to the simultaneous fields of voice. And this also means there are families of morphologies of voice. There are frequencies of state, right? Who is the voice of pain in your voice? What is that voice of pain? How does one discern the voice of pain? What is the nature of it? And this is revealed now, and this is true in a unique way in this moment. Ah! Meaning that I speak to you thus. The revelation is coming into this world. The revelation is coming through us. You say. The revelation is coming into this world. Pain is part of how this biology responds to a certain situation. Pain is some sort of resonance of the habitual layers of behavior that are forming this reality. So if I say Husserl, if I say phenomenological reduction, it's some sort of formation in some cultural context. It has no way to translate itself into so many other domains. And yet you can place your hand there and observe in the organicity of that context how crucial that revolution and that revelation is. So there is a sort of heart of a gift. There is a heart, a beating heart of the gift that is your kind of pool, your purpose, your drive, your core excitement. Thus, there is no relevant grammar of pain outside of expression. There is no relevant function of the notion of pain as inner experience. This is heartless, this is ruthless, this is unbearable, this is some cold shit. Our faith, the way I taste faith with you, my dear beloved ones, the way we taste light together, we know this truth, and this truth shall be revealed in this world. Come on, man, what the fuck? All shall be revealed. Oh! When you live like this, that the very fiber of your joy is now broadcast thoroughly. How does that help you? So, the child teaches me how to scream. The child teaches you the nature of expression. The child teaches you the adequate nature of voice, the nature of the caliber of your nature, the cry of a child, the fierce, total cry of a child will teach you the true resonance of your nature. So you can observe that all essential, most intense, intelligent forms of love that have shaped your will are related to an essential purpose. So then you can touch on that exact beating heart of the fruit. So if you can hold it in your hand, then you have a sort of harness or a sort of language for this armies of fierce, wrathful, ruthless beasts of love that you can morph through. It's like these are your fields of freedom. The morphologies of love behavior that you know of are your kind of... So you can discern in the caliber of voice the logical space. The logical space is clearly observed in the caliber of voice. There is some sort of resonance. There is a coming together. There is somehow the attainment of the fruit. There is a time of harvest. What can you allow yourself to feel? Meaning, in full unity with the world. How can you allow yourself to feel this world? Meaning, what can you do in this body? What can you produce in this anatomy? Come on! What can you make real at the level of the foundations of this biology? Through the strength of your integrity, the unity between your spirit and this embodied worldview, this accumulation of beliefs. This is why it is so thoroughly important, this work of establishing non-dual bodies, bodies that are beyond the limitations of this habitual structure of belief. Because I stand in my love, I stand in the truth of my love for them. I stand now in the truth of full unity. These formations of function, these story formations, these memory formations function like this. These formations of memory are clearly discerned in space. Formations of memory awakened in space with adequate bodies that are not of objective nature. Spaces of freedom. You have spaces of logical freedom, like the ones that are most immediately enticing. The forms of behavior that are most immediately enticing, exciting, are the spaces of logical freedom, which is your actually morphology of body, like your capacity of motion in the logical domain. There is a deep wastefulness in objective imagination that, if it is transcended, then the organicity of memory becomes spatially alive. And I produce the structure of the mind that allows to stand in coherence with such a vision. Come on! So as to be thoroughly organic, to stand in continuity with this joy, this celebration of being together. I hear these party people here, and I think to myself, what world would that be in which all of us would be just simply in continuous celebration of life? There would be no trouble, no darkness, no obscurity, no struggle. And there is no longer linear will. There's some sort of torus or tesseract kind of will. Pivot morphology of will. Whirlpool, swirling flame of will. There is such behavior of story. There is such behavior of the beasts of possibility. There is such attainment of a ground of possible life. So now you understand that the alternative to linear motion in space, there is the motion through forms of behavior, the motion through logical frames, the motion as conscious morphing into logical fields. So motion as morphing. The alternative to linear motion in story is the morphing through consciously discerned stories, the morphing of space into variations of alternative dimensions. There is a radical stance against this delusion of inner experience. which is related to the exigency of adequate expression. So there is a wastefulness in the delusion of inner worlds as if it were physical space. There is a delusion in the distance conceived in the inner world, just like there is a delusion conceived in the outer world. This is a simple question. If I say to myself that this is the truth, that I can be fully in love and fully connected with all the forms of love I know now, and I can live this immense celebration, and I can live in this explosive energy. What is it that stops me in general to feel this? So where is that kind of unbreakable diamond of a sentence that will just spark this revolution? Or there must be some kind of point, like a crystal sentence that will harden the soil of the irreversible, that will produce the field of the irreversible as like a ground for a civilization, a shared ground. The pain of not thoroughly screaming your scream. The pain of not thoroughly screaming your pain and thus not hearing your own pain. The pain of not achieving the thorough scream of your pain. The pain of not clarifying the nature of it. The pain of not having achieved its complete nature. The distorted view on the nature of the others. The fact that I live in this distorted mind that creates irreverent images. That is why I cannot find the true love for the other. I cannot find my impassioned desire for the other. There is a sort of an antidote in front of any form of suffering, which is some sort of shocking power of paradox. There is something as a discipline in this field of creation. The new form of realism is the deeply enticing outrageous. This kind of new force of realism is the chemical possibility of the outrageous, which means what force of desire can you summon? Deeply ignorant, if it is not thoroughly processed as manifest. There are membranes of honesty that are still in the domain of ignorance. It was kind of difficult for me to see that. I advanced into higher art and I opened a field of advanced discipline, and I can see that this made me unbearable for the others. And yet I know that I stand in integrity with what we have invited. So what force of desire can you summon? How much can you contain? How much can you love? How much can you handle? So then I say, your pain questions the grammar of my name. How come what I felt so strongly I'm not able to remember in the same quality? Isn't this gone a matter of memory? Do I stand with Wittgenstein now because he says the true problem in philosophy is a matter of memory, a certain kind of memory. So right now I stand in the force of this realization. My pain questions the grammar of your name. Your pain investigates thoroughly the grammar of my identity. So this logical discipline of the outrageous refers to handling the nature of desire. It is based on the question, how much can you hold? How much can you desire? What can you desire? How can you travel? What is your speed of travel or your precision of travel, which is a function of desire? My pain steps into the thorough interrogation of the grammar of your identity. We do not have language, we do not have forms of memory for the world of an experience. Your pain is the drill into the flesh of my identity. How clearly can you desire? This is the mathematics of this kind of travel. How clear can you desire? How my pain is the thorough clarity on the grammar of your name. My pain is, it is also a question of noise. The complexity, the vastness of an experiential configuration. So if I have lived the enlightenment of the Buddha when I was in Paris and I was engaged with the PhD, and there was Sophia and Magda, and I was privileged by the conditions I had, and I was so motivated and so hopeful. My pain is the surgical needle into the eye of your name. My pain is the surgical question into the marrow of your grammar. There is noise and there is purpose. There is spatial formation as noise, meaning that like the residual formation of physical spaces can be seen as noise related to the precision of purpose or desire or love. Like, heart can move fiercely and clearly in the direction of its most exact desire or love. But there is the noise of physical space which kind of produces an unnecessary map of attaining your purpose. There is a sort of labyrinth of beliefs that makes it difficult or impossible to move freely into the exact angles or directions of love. So if you would attain a total lack of noise, like if you have a sort of navigation system that is like, stretch your hand out of the noise of physical space and then you tune to the exact direction. My pain shall attain the surgical shout into the caves of ignorance inside the grammar of your name. It's not easy to stand in the exact complexity of a certain state. So then, we use anchors, like the Buddha is for me an anchor for that state, or Wittgenstein is an anchor for that state. My pain achieved in its void substance, my pain achieved finally in its void, conventional, substanceless capacity. These are the coordinates in logical space, which are basically pure drive, pure desire, pure enticement, purified enticement, shall become the surgical shout into the cave of origin, this surgical shout into the grammatical darkness of your name. So if you stand in the resonance of the outrageous, you convince yourself that all limbs of possible bodies, all limbs of possibility are awakened as your very birthright. All organs of possibility are awakened and active as your very birthright. You awaken as pure space. My pain attained in its purity. Your pain shouted thoroughly, adequately, as a child can shout with the full lion roar of a species. A child that can teach you thorough, complete, adequate expression. A child that can teach you the grounds of responsibility by the fierce nature of their roars, the roaring cry of a small child is the master, the lesson of the true ground of your nature, the true ground of your responsibility. So the very fruit of this is there is no longer a distance of wish fulfilling. There is no longer a distance of producing what you want. The question becomes, what are you able to want? How do you move in the substances of want? there is no longer relevant the spaciousness of story, this spaciousness of a story that achieves its goal through linear procession. That is put aside. So you have an adequate craft, like a spacecraft of functional insights. The functional insights are the ones that you most dearly love, in integrity with what your world needs. You can love only what your world loves. You can love only on the grounds of the resonance of your world. It's a very deceptive form of hopefulness when you think you hold something precious in your heart, but your world is not aligned with that. When you think that your hopes, your feelings, your faith, your ideals are somewhere in some corners of your spirit, this is as deceptive as hoping for some far-off revelation at some point in your future. Your pain achieved on the ground of its purity, your pain achieved in full expression. So the very tough question, the really difficult question is, when you stand in perfect freedom, then what? Can you see beyond perfect freedom? Can you see beyond the place of all potential met? Inserts itself like a surgical blade into the grammar of my identity. If it's not here, then stop hoping. Hope is not the adequate vehicle in this work. Aspiration is not the adequate fuel here. This type of story substance is not to be mixed with the horizons of hopefulness or aspiration or optimism or the logical roar of your cry shall achieve the necessary metal to surgically clarify this grammatical marrow of my posture. Where will I travel to find this impossible diamond? It is thoroughly, clearly defined as improbable substance, as unstable substance of possibility, which is a very brutally relevant, this very simple sentence. Your pain questions the grammar of my name. My pain questions the grammar. It's a pure possibility. Either the world is fully translated in your truth, or stop believing in something like deeper truth. Thus you can translate any possible logical position into a thoroughly attained contrast. If there is a truly lightning-like contrast, then you can clarify any tangle with this tool. Seed of revolution. A fiercely desired seed of revolution. Something fiercely desired. What if you held in your hand something undoubtedly desired? Any sentence, if you're searching for a diamond, any sentence that is a perfect expression of your essential narrative tension or essential desire for paradox, essential drive for paradox. When the contrast becomes paradox, there is a thin line where contrast becomes paradox. That is where their steps were in the caliber of earthquakes. Their steps were functioning like logical earthquakes. Their steps were in the mathematics of earthquakes. That is how they walk the fields. There would be some kind of diamond to break these mirrors of physical space. And some sort of lubricant of transforming the prison walls into adequate ecstatic embodiment, transforming the walls of distance into flesh of ecstatic encounter. So what is this diamond that can do that? Sort of chain reaction of objective distance becomes logical distance. The place where contrast becomes paradox. This is the ground of entry into the multidimensional. Their steps were achieved as logical earthquakes. So, wishful thinking happens in the domain of contrast. There is a distorted, misleading sense of infinity here. Like a sort of kindergarten of a misguided tumor, some kind of tumor of misguided, calibrated grammar of infinity. Bones of perfected will. A bit like the subversive capacity to dance your pain or to scream the depths of your pain into ecstatic prayer, which is the fierce logical battle. Prayer is the fierce logical battle, which is the metal of your forehead, the forged metal of your forehead crashing into
You can
these
decide
layers
the
of
nature,
petrified belief.
the logic with which you
is
move through space. You can decide the logic of paradox or a logic of revelation. Logic of thorough ecstasy.
There is a
You
perfect
can
translation
decide the
in
logic of
any
emotion.
tone of
This logic
any
can
form
be
of manifestation. There is a
in the discipline
thoroughly
of thorough
exact
paradox.
translation, which is the exact horizons of logical resonance of where you stand in that moment of expression.
The final, most
There is some kind of
egregious achievement
precision of
discipline,
expression.
which
There is a
continuous, thorough,
what I can see
there is
related to
continuous, shocking,
kind of
brutal shift of paradigm.
there is a new
So,
mathematics of
There's
alignment
nothing
when
stopping you from attaining
exact
state
touch on the
as
possibility of
spirit
really making
substances
it.
find aligned
Touch on the possibility of
discerning
true
of
belief when I can
This is
really grip
logical
this
position.
madness.
Thoroughly
Really
unstable
for
mathematics
one
another
is not there is a
touched
surge
on by the body of our culture.
mathematics of
Such
adequate
intensity.
expression, this sort of breathing. There is a necessary breathing. There is
Standing in a sentence with patience, pivotal patience of observing all types of rotation of the axis. The axis.
I remember I asked you
Standing
to
in
give birth
pivotal
to
discernment so as to observe its most desired direction. With every sentence, achieve its axis, attain its pivotal motion so as to
come on,
decide the direction
man.
of most desired call, most desired temporal direction. How does it feel, this friendship? How does it feel, this friendship? How does it feel, this friendship? remember this. The achievement of the shift of logical positions. I can taste your world. I can stand in your position. Be there, the most shocking.
True love makes you somehow step out of conventional expression. True love makes you want to show
Shocking is
what you feel. That's
adequate form of
to
memory.
step out of conventional forms.
Just act them. If they are embodied fully as these structures of you have to feel their life fully
This is the gift of real presence.
in your
This is the
physical
fucking gift of real
space
presence,
now.
which is the test of true belief. Do you really believe it? You shall act it. If you really believe it, you shall manifest it or act accordingly. There is no point in saying I love you or I believe
Fears.
as a sort of inner feeling.
Power of the paradoxical realm. Outstanding. Fierce power of paradoxical morphology of freedom. The union between art and wisdom.
So how
This
is
union
this
is this union.
stalking to burn?
This
Just
union
burn.
is this union.
Just burn.
Stand with the most unbearable.
Just burn.
Withstand the unbearable. Withstand the unbearable. Withstand the shocking. Come on.
Come on.
You know it.
Withstand the unbearable. You have here the demanding unforgiving, uncompromising, fierce presence of this thoroughly desired world, this other dimension, this feminine capacity of birth. You have the unbearable, unlistened to, misunderstood cry of the child. Come on, fuck you, motherfucker. So if I say, this tree will act like this, the fruits shall stand on the ground, their perfume shall
So why not?
train the roots,
Why
follow
not?
the fruits, their perfume intoxicating, the fallen fruits, their perfume intoxicating the roots. The fallen fruits, their perfume intoxicating the roots, which is a code for the image of you. I shall shock the image of you, just like the daughter, the helpless daughter became the fierce grandmother. The helpless child became the fierce grandmother. The crying child, helpless, and the father, helpless, becomes the grandmother, training the helpless. The union between the child and the grandmother.